New York lawmakers are pushing to bring back AIDS era sex bathhouses. And you will not believe the reason why. Disgusting. OpenAI, we were going to cover this yesterday, but we had to shorten our show. They are hiding jobs from Americans in order to hire foreigners. And a real live dragon. I love dragons. We got footage. Happy Thursday. It's that blood day. Hello, Marilyn. Great to have you along for the ride here. We are live on Rumble and YouTube. Please subscribe and follow whichever platform you happen to be on. And, of course, give us a thumbs up on either one of those or both platforms. We appreciate that. It helps the algorithm. We don't have a marketing budget here for the show, so it really does help when you would give us those thumbs up and share and all that good stuff. So, all right. Let's jump right into it. This is, as I said, the lawmakers in New York are looking to bring back sex bathhouses, saunas. The reason? They're trying to pitch this to you that it's gay culture. It ain't. Lawmakers in New York are trying to put up a proposal that would once again permit sexual activity inside bathhouses and saunas. It is currently against the law. The proposal would repeal a 1980s public health law that banned these facilities during the height of the AIDS crisis. Sponsors say the old restriction is now outdated because modern prevention tools are widely available. I'm sorry, condoms were widely available in the 80s too. And look what happened. Now, you may point to things like PrEP, but PrEP is not a 100% guarantee. It's a preventative that you take if you're going to have unprotected sex, which is stupid to begin with. But if you are that stupid, they make a drug which will help protect you from becoming HIV positive. Now, by the way, let me explain something to you. Someone can be HIV positive and not have AIDS. Being HIV positive means that you have the virus, you can spread the virus, but these days and for many years now, there have been great drugs that will suppress the amount of viral load that you have down to nothing. Undetectable is ultimately where you want to get to, because when you are undetectable, it is virtually impossible for you to infect your partner. Once you're, what is it called? That's viral load. CD4. That is how robust your immune system is. Normally, if I'm not mistaken, in normal people's immune system would be in the 400 to 500 range. Once you get below, I forget what the number is, like the 80s or the 90s or below, that is when they formally classify it as full-blown AIDS. So there is a difference there. There's a big difference. When you have a CD4 count under 100, your immune system is not good. You are susceptible to all kinds of awful things. Just an aside, as a little background for this ridiculous story, State Assembly member Tony Simone has described the venues as, oh, it's just a part of gay culture, and argued they ought to be brought out of the shadows. Now, he and Senator Eric Botcher contend that regulated bathhouses would be safer than the underground spots that you know currently are operating anyway. They're not going to stop. No law is going to, I can't do that. It's against the law. Bullshit. Doesn't happen. Simone says queer New Yorkers are being forced into the shadows. We all know these places exist. Actions taken at the height of the AIDS crisis, out of step, he says, with modern reality. You want some reality, pal? This disease still exists. Yes, there are medications, and yes, people have lived for decades being HIV positive and not infectious and lived full, healthy lives. The science has changed, prevention has changed, but this disease still exists. And if you are stupid enough to be having unprotected sex, it is awful to say, but I almost want to comment you deserve. I got to stop myself because no one, absolutely no one, deserves. But you know what? If you're going to not want to get hit by a car, don't stand in the middle of the road. Use the sidewalk. Oh, there's a lot of support for this plan from the LGBTQ plus ABCD community. Bathhouses is not just providing a place for strangers to have sex in public. They were the symbols of our community, our culture, our fight for civil rights and sexual liberation. I spent much of my youth in them. This is activist Alan Roscoff. Something to be proud of? This is not, let me just be really, really clear about this. This is not a part of gay culture. Now, it sounds like is the absolute reckless revival of one of the very venues that accelerated this deadly epidemic that claimed, did you forget? Did you forget the 80s? How many of our friends we buried? 100,000 lives in New York alone. Not to mention all the other STDs. That's the thing. People are so afraid of becoming HIV positive. Well, guess what? Syphilis, gonorrhea, chlamydia, they're all out there. And trust me, you don't want to get any of them. In the time of the initial ban, New York knew that AIDS was spreading. Bathhouses, Republicans wanted to close the bathhouses where gay people were having sex, doing drugs, and then basically dying. And the Democrats pushed back to let the gays do their thing, said Republicans, called Republicans homophobes. You could expect more of that tactic from these two lawmaker idiots. Representing Manhattan's LGBT-friendly West Side. I'm telling you, at a time when New York City is struggling with rampant crime, open air drug use, all kinds of disorder, right out in the open, on the streets, what are the lawmakers prioritizing? The legislation of anonymous public sex. Councilwoman Vicky Palladino, a Republican from Queens, said bathhouses were awful, warned they would be far worse if they were reopened today. New York lawmakers have also reintroduced the Cecilia Act, A bill, listen to this. This bill would decriminalize certain prostitution offenses between consenting adults. Again, Democrats trying to drag it out of the shadows and into the public view. Honestly, my opinion on prostitution is if you are both adults and you have made an arrangement, a financial one, albeit, and nobody gets hurt, then what's the harm? Problem is, people do get hurt. There are pimps, there are freaks, there are psychos out there. People do get hurt. Not a good thing. But this bathhouse thing, calling it a part of gay culture, sorry, that is just the absolute dumbest freaking thing I have ever heard. Well, one of them. Maryland says, don't Muslims throw gays off of rooftops? Yes, indeed they do. This could be their way of eliminating gays. Has anyone thought of that with this new mayor in New York City? I'm sure it's come up. Unbelievable. Hey, did you see this? What a great, great story. Trump melting hearts as he saves a little boy, saves him from tumbling off stage. Not easy to upstage the master showman, Mr. Donald Trump, but one little boy gave it his best shot. Wednesday, at a rally held at the Red Rock Casino in Summerlin neighborhood of Las Vegas, the president was there to get a little business done, namely touting his economic agenda, stumping for local Republicans ahead of the November midterms. Well, part of this event was dedicated to his highlighting the no tax on tips proposal, which he said had helped him win the state of Nevada back in 2024. So, to help him celebrate the success of the no tax on tips policy, and Vegas is a great place for that because you tip everybody for everything in Vegas, he signed into law as part of his one big beautiful bill. He invited a local couple and their 2 young children to join him on stage to talk about how the tax breaks on overtime and tips had helped their family. Well, when Sandra, who is a waitress at a casino in Las Vegas, and her husband, Brad, who's a police officer, in addition to talking about how the no tax on overtime provision helped them out financially, they also wanted to thank President Trump for his new Trump accounts, private-public partnership that allows families to open investment accounts for their minor kids. Well, Sandra's little boy also wanted to say thank you, and he kind of did that. Take a look. Hold on. What the hell's the problem? All right, let's try this. Anytime, pal. Don't give me the circle of death, please. Ah, come on. All right, come back to me for a minute. Let's try this again. Oh my, oh my. Why is that not going to load? All right, let's move past this. As his mom, who was a little bit nervous, became a little overwhelmed and began to speak, her little guy started wandering away from his dad and made a beeline for the steps off the stage. He was teetering a little too close to the edge for President Trump's comfort. And the president sprang to action, pulled the boy away from the edge, returned him safely to his mom, and not missing a chance didn't lose a beat. He compared what just happened to all too often during the Biden years. Trump said, "I don't want him to be Biden and fall off the edge." Let's see if this is going to work.
It's truly an honor. It's truly an honor to stand here before you and speak. Sorry, excuse me. I have a little mom brain going on right now. I'm so sorry. No, he's going to take off. Thank you. Thank you. Truly, thank you, Mr. President. It's an honor.
Thank you, truly thank you, Mr. President. There you go. So Trump saves the day. Unbelievable. Classic Trump on display in Las Vegas. Policy pitch, campaign rally crossed with a comedy routine, and a dash of little dutiful granddad thrown in there just for some extra razzle-dazzle. The heavyweight champ Mike Tyson, Rick Harrison of Pawn Stars, they were also in the audience. Even those two seasoned entertainers had to take a back seat to the pint-sized, scene-stealing stage roamer, our little kid here. We don't know the name of this little boy, but he certainly helped make the most memorable part of the day. Had absolutely nothing to do with politics or policy, and the president really didn't seem to mind one bit. But a great story out of Las Vegas. That is cool. All right. America's most rat-infested city. Think about that. Well, guess what? When you got rats to the point that they do, you got medieval diseases. No, I am not kidding. Los Angeles has a grocery list of problems. Crime, homelessness, productive people are leaving because of the idiot policies in the city and in the state of California. Well, once again, we can add that ancient curse of the big cities, disease. The other thing LA shares with a lot of large cities throughout human history is rats. Rats that accompanied humans almost everywhere they exist. And rats bring disease. And that too is happening right now in Los Angeles. LA County, rats abound. You may see only an occasional rat dart through an alleyway or root through a restaurant dumpster, but make no mistake, they are everywhere. From Skid Row to Koreatown, from Boyle Heights to Santa Monica, rats exist everywhere. They are always nearby, even if out of sight, scurrying in the storm drains and the walls, the crawl spaces, the alleyways. Rats and fleas that live on them can carry deadly diseases, including, most notably and probably most well known, the plague, which in bubonic form killed tens of millions of people and laid absolute waste to cities in the Middle Ages. Now, in LA, the main concern is a different medieval disease from these rats, and that is typhus. Since 2009, the number of flea-borne typhus cases in LA has increased by 2,300%. Last year, the county recorded more cases than at any point in its history. Some patients have died. Behind the scenes, authorities responsible for protecting the public admit they lack the resources to get the situation under control. The cities providing a nearly perfect habitat for rats. Sprawling homeless enclaves, rampant drug use, all the trash, the waste that is around these encampments, they are given rats a paradise. These rats are living like kings. They haven't seen it this good since the Dark Ages. And here's the really, really stupid part about all this. The state of California has placed tight controls on the very materials that are most effective against rats. More and more tools are being removed from the pest control's toolbox. In 2002, moron Newsom signed AB 788 into law, which sharply restricted the number of potent anticoagulant rat poisons in the hopes of protecting mountain lions and other wildlife. And 4 years later, moron Governor Newsom signed AB 2552, which even further expanded those restrictions. I'm sorry, some of you bubbleheads out there want this idiot to be president? Are you kidding me? Humans, look, we've fought rats for thousands of years. The best we've been able to do is to fight them into some kind of holding action. Rats just have too many advantages. Female rat can throw litters from 6 to 12 babies after a gestation period of 3 weeks. That's it. They're pumping out pups every less than a month. And the pups can breed between the ages of 5 and 6 weeks of age. You do the math. They can have 4 to 7 litters a year. Female rats come in a season, mate again, while they're still nursing the last litter. And every one of those rats will grow up to harbor their own little complement of fleas, which are primary vectors of all kinds of nasty diseases you do not want to have, like the bubonic plague. Rat droppings spread typhus. Every rat carries its own helping sickness. The state of California regulated the best weapon humans have against them, which is the various anticoagulant poisons. But California said, nope, can't use those anymore. Of course, cleaning up the homeless enclaves and cleaning up the garbage, that would go a long way to helping too. LA, sorry folks, it is slipping back into the Dark Ages, and it even has in Mayor Karen Bass its very own Typhoid Mary. I hope you're proud. Crazy, crazy talk. Speaking of talk, who do you get your mobile cell phone service from? It better be Patriot Mobile. I'll tell you why.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
PatriotMobile.com/J, J-A-Y, that is the link. It's in our description down below. You pull that down, you'll see Patriot Mobile there. Again, you keep your phone number, nothing changes except where your money goes. A portion of their profits go to support causes that you and I believe in: the First and Second Amendment, the right to life, our military, all the stuff you and I hold dear to our hearts. Patriot Mobile supports. PatriotMobile.com/J, and if you use that link and or the code J-A-Y at checkout, your first month is free. 1 month free on me if you sign up using our link, which is another hell of a deal. So head over to PatriotMobile.com/J. All right, this could be a mess. The governor in Massachusetts is keeping mum silent on whether or not she will kill the law that protects babies after 24 weeks. This law will remove a state law that barred abortion after 24 weeks, and it will make the killing of unborn babies legal up to the very moment of birth. No, I'm not kidding. Democrat Governor Maura Healey, Massachusetts, wouldn't answer when asked whether she will sign this new abortion bill passed by the State House and Senate. When questioned on whether she intended to sign the bill that would make abortion legal through all 9 months, she wouldn't answer the question. No response. This law would remove the state's current 24-week abortion ban and make abortion legal, like I said, up to the very moment of birth. Current law allowing abortion until 24 weeks is already extreme. At 24 weeks, babies are already capable of hearing, tasting, remembering stimuli, their facial features almost fully formed, and they can survive outside the womb with medical help, of course, but they can survive. Any woman, for any reason, would be able to get an abortion based on the doctor's professional judgment, and we all know what that means. According to Susan B. Anthony, Pro-Life America, mass Democrats fast-tracked the measure to bypass the full committee process to allow the Senate to pass the bill before the legislature adjourned. Now, if Healey signs this bill, Massachusetts would be the 11th state to allow abortion at any point in the United States. Disgraceful. District of Columbia is included in that, by the way. The U.S., one of only 8 countries in the world. One of only 8 countries in the world to allow for abortion at any point. As of 2024, 46 out of 50 European UN member countries restrict abortion on demand after 15 weeks of gestation. Now, this governor has a huge pro-abortion track record. Likely she will pass this bill and sign it into law. Before becoming governor, she was elected as Attorney General in 2014 with Planned Parenthood's support. They backed her again this year in her gubernatorial re-election campaign. As governor back in 2023, Healey stockpiled 15,000 mifepristone chemical abortion doses to bypass the potential of court rulings restricting the drug. That's where this governor's head is at. How nice is that, huh? Unbelievable. SBA Pro-Life America President Marjorie Dannenfelser said, only 10% of Americans support the extreme laws that allow abortion up until birth. GOP's got to abandon this failed leave it to the states position that enabled this type of abortion bills Massachusetts has, which is disgusting. Move the country towards a national protection for our unborn children from one coast to the other. Sad, sad, sad. All right. Here's the one that's going to kind of put a hitch in your giddy up. The Department of Justice has nailed OpenAI for hiring jobs from, I'm sorry, hiding jobs from Americans in order to hire foreigners. No, I'm not kidding. They announced Tuesday of this week, just 2 days ago, that it's reached a $3.2 million settlement with OpenAI over allegations the company deliberately discriminates against American workers. They investigated, and the investigators found that OpenAI preferred temporary visa holders when filling certain high-paying tech positions. The case centered on the company's recruitment practices during the permanent labor certification process, which is required when employees sponsor foreign workers for green cards. According to the press release from the DOJ, OpenAI failed to post some of these job openings on their public career website. They didn't even post them, even though that was the standard practice for all their other positions. And the company also required applicants to submit paper applications by mail while allowing electronic applications for almost every other job. OpenAI advertised some of the openings on the radio late at night, a step the department said was designed to discourage U.S. workers from applying because, we got jobs. We're probably in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Under this settlement, OpenAI is going to pay $1.2 million in civil penalties and create a $2 million fund to compensate affected American workers. Good on you. The Trump Justice Department launched the Protecting U.S. Workers Initiative way back in 2017. The president relaunched it last year. It's aimed at targeting, investigating, and taking law enforcement action against companies that discriminate against U.S. workers in favor of foreign visa holder workers. As it should be. This makes, by the way, the 13th settlement the department has gotten in the last year. They are not letting any dust grow under their feet. OpenAI, which is one of the most powerful companies in big tech, by far the highest profile company, is now forced to answer for shutting Americans out of high-paying jobs. Absolutely disgusting. OpenAI. Hey, we've done a lot of reporting on flock cameras, and guess what? Flock cameras just got even creepier. The huge growth of these privacy-invading flock cameras, specialized kind of surveillance system, which is used by police and municipalities, even some homeowner associations. You know how I feel about them. Trying to capture, analyze photos of passing vehicles. Now, in theory, these photos can be used to track stolen cars, help with investigations into crimes, when there are very few clues to go on. How it works. Flock Safety builds a vehicle fingerprint that captures things like your car's make, model, color, unique car features, if you've got any dents, you got a roof rack, bumper stickers, and it stores all that information and then tracks your car's location, date, and time, stores it all in their database. And it becomes a searchable database for the police and others. The folks at Flock say they store your info for 30 days And then they say it is automatically and permanently deleted. However, customers, police departments, cities, businesses, even HOAs, which is stupid, are able to request the data be held longer if the state and local laws allow it. So it doesn't have to be permanently destroyed in 30 days. And these are not your parents' license readers, folks. This is a whiz-bangy AI stuff packaged as cutting-edge tech, but that ought to make you uber concerned about privacy, and with very good reason. As it turns out, some who are able to access the flock data are using it for kind of creepy and nefarious reasons. Take the case of 50-year-old Marcy Bakley, resident in Jefferson, Georgia. Now, she hadn't thought much about the cameras that were all over her town until she noticed her ex-boyfriend was somehow able to track her as she went to places like the grocery store, the dentist's office. He even knew if she'd gone on a date. And when she went to buy groceries or a date to the doctor, he'd text her about it, sometimes with minutes, despite working 15 miles from home as a police chief in a small town in the Atlanta suburbs. And then one day in 2024, when he incorrectly suspected she'd gone to see a man against his wishes, he messaged her. "I didn't think you would slip up," according to the texts. Super creepy. Blakely went into full stalker survival mode, put cameras in her home, had a mechanic check her car for tracking devices, and then the ex-boyfriend admits his dirty little secret. He was accessing her information through the flock cameras. Because of his job as a Brazelton chief of police, he was able to access the flock cameras. And he searched for her and her teen daughter over 600 times. Her ex, Michael Steffman, arrested last November, charged with stalking, harassment, license plate reader misuse. Another case out of Missouri shows Blakely's scary situation, unfortunately, is becoming very common as rogue cops get more access to more flock cameras. One analysis showed that at least 50 law enforcement officers have been accused of accessing flock cameras for the express purpose of harassment. Once you've seen these flock cameras staring in your general direction, you will notice them everywhere as you drive around. And you ought to be wondering, who is it that is basically tracking your every move? And you ought to be very afraid about that. Very afraid. Oh, that's good. That, my friends, is a big, flavorful sip of Blackout coffee. Ba, ba, ba. I love this song. Blackout coffee, simply the best. John Santos and the gang, an American coffee company that works with local co-ops and American farmers to grow the best coffee beans on the planet. They roast them only after you order. And then they ship them out within 24 to 48 hours. If you can't grind your own beans, no problem. All their popular roasts have an option where you can have them grind them for you. They've got flavors which are amazing. So many incredible flavors. They've got, pitch black espresso, by the way, is my favorite. It's what I drink all the time. They've got cold brew, instant, pods, of course. So check them out. Use the link down in our description and get yourself an order. Listen, if you're first-time customer, you want to try Blackout coffee, I encourage you so strongly to do that because it is always full-flavored, full, rich coffee flavor and never, ever bitter. Use the code J20, first-time customers, JAY20. That will get you 20% off your first order at Blackout Coffee. Please do give it a try. You will be amazed. Thank you, John Santos. Great group of people you got working with you over there at the amazing Blackout Coffee. All right, the big AI land grab. Man, we're picking on tech today. Whispering before it starts screaming as far as history is concerned. A lot of people don't notice it at first. The warning signs appear somewhere else, a town you never visited, a ranch 1,000 miles away, a community meeting that doesn't make any real national news. And by the time everybody finally catches on, the decisions have already been made, the contract signed, and the damage, whatever it may ultimately prove to be, is much harder to undo. Florida is standing right in the doorway of one of those moments. Across America, the race to build these massive AI data centers has become the new gold rush. Politicians promise jobs, developers promise investment, technology promises the future. In state after state, yet another story is beginning to emerge. In Georgia, residents have been publicly complaining about water pressure problems as enormous new data center projects put increasing demand on their local infrastructure. Communities are asking whether their water system was ever designed for this level of industrial consumption, while the public was fully informed before the grants got approved. Well, in Texas, something even more remarkable has happened. Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller said publicly he called for a temporary moratorium on new hyperscale data center development until the state can evaluate the long-term impacts on their electrical grid, their water supply systems, agricultural land, and their rural communities. He argued that innovation should, this makes perfect sense, it should not come at the expense of the people who produce America's food and take care of their natural resources. You think about it for a minute. This isn't an environmental activist or a neighborhood association or even a political action committee. Is the elected agriculture commissioner of Texas. When somebody charged with protecting one of America's largest agricultural economies says, let's slow down and study this before we build more, Florida, you better open up your eyes and pay attention. Not because every allegation has been proven, but because responsible government asks questions before, not after, irreversible decisions get made. Reports continue to circulate from ranchers, rural communities. They're all concerned about everything from water availability to unexplained livestock issues, which is all precisely why independent investigation matters in these things. If the claims are unsupported, Well, then we deserve to know that. But if there are legit concerns, the public deserves to know that too. Silence serves no one. Florida, you are now standing where Texas stood not so long ago. Developers are looking south. Sunshine State offering abundant land, growing energy infrastructure, favorable tax policies, political leadership that would love to position Florida as a leader in AI. But Florida, before you rush to become the next hub for the hyperscale data center, you Floridians in our audience here ought to be asking all kinds of questions and insisting that you get answers. Because time after time, this has been a nightmare. Absolute nightmare. All right. Now, what's the problem? You know what? If the video won't run, that's okay. Because I can show you this even with just a still screen. I love dragons. Karen says, I live on the Nature Coast. They are paving it. Oh, my God. Unbelievable. All right. This, folks, is known as a leafy sea dragon. I'm telling you, this is a real dragon. Watch this. Look at this thing. That is a dragon. I don't care what you say. Look at it. I expect fire to come whipping out of its mouth at any time. Okay, technically, yes, it is a leafy sea dragon, but that's insane. That is crazy talk. All right. Wow. Hey, we're done. Thanks, folks. It's been a Thursday, hasn't it? And yeah, I'm out of here. I really appreciate you being here. Be sure you check out our sponsors. Go buy something. If you'd like to help support the show, you can always make a donation at our PayPal link. It's the top link in our description, and it's secure. It's safe. Use your bank card or your credit card or your bank account. Make a donation there. Any amount is appreciated, and it helps us keep the lights on and keep the show free. We're live Monday through Friday at 9 Eastern on Rumble and YouTube, and I will see you all again tomorrow for the Friday edition.